till somebody arrives. Man, oh man, coming from someone from the 1990s, seeing this teacher just lose it in Chicago, I thought I might share as an American how I feel, because many people asked me this question about this teacher I'm going to stream today. For me, that is not a good look for America. I'm already dealing with shit regarding Pakistan. I don't know what to say for America. But let's have you guys all come in here slowly, give it a minute or two, and I'm gonna set up my station. Okay, get in here. Give it a minute or two. So guys, okay. Could you imagine in Chicago, you say you're a teacher, right? A teacher is supposed to be an influence for children. And we see this teacher in Chicago literally teaching kids that it's okay to celebrate Charlie Kirk's death. Now you think for a minute, this is America. You're not supposed to be showing this stuff. And kids grew up here, some coming from the 1990s, child. I started school in I would say 1997, around there, in kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade, right? Where teachers are supposed to how to share your pencils, how to share your desks. You didn't have computers back then, almost nothing, as much as stuff you have now. And you see this teacher in Chicago protesting that they're no king and laugh on Charlie Kirk's death. Sources say that she got fired. Now you think for a minute, how is this allowed in America? But many have asked me, what do you think about this? I'm like, what am I supposed to say? I'm a Muslim. I have a no say when Christians disagree with each other. I don't have a say. But what I do know, a fact, I don't want America to go through the same bullshit that Pakistan goes through. It took me forever to really make Pakistani politicians understand what they are doing and why the country is losing its edge, its money, everything. And the first cure I said to them was to terminate the radical extremist business groups. They need to leave. And somehow there was an announcement over there. That's my same recommendations to anybody who's an American and Christians who live here. They're going through a crisis, looking at each other, having disagreements with each other. You do not want the same crisis in America that some of these countries have. And I'm dealing with it right now. When I'm an American Pakistani, there's a lot of recommendations I gave to that country that needs to be done. And some of them took action. Out of a million years, I couldn't believe it either. Same here. Christians, if you're anybody who is a Christian, you guys need to show how do you want to present your country, what portion of your religion needs to show, what not show. Anybody else who's living in your country who's not a Christian, they wouldn't able to help you with this, especially what happened in Chicago. That's a teacher. You're supposed to be teaching children. And then this is not an inspiration you would teach any of your kids. The dancing in Chicago and sticking out your tongue and laughing at Charlie Kirk's death. A no king and curse Charlie Kirk. You don't want any of that stuff under your name. Trust me. You wouldn't. Because you're going to go through the same crisis what the Muslims go through. Hi, how you doing? Hi. So I'm going to get to the topic. I'll answer questions after. But it's important. And the more it grows, you've seen all these Democrat leaders, literally all these Democrat leaders, they're proud, they're protesting on streets, they're giving speeches on streets against the Republicans. Then there's peoples from the right and left. You're going through the same crisis what Pakistan's going through, that as much as it wants to launch the changes, which it has, but then there are people who protest on street that, hey, we don't want this in the country. But I feel that is everywhere, no matter where you live, whether it's Israel, China, Gulf states, wherever, whatever. It's always going to be about who agrees and disagrees in your citizens. And come on, man, this is America. America has to feel like America, get its spirit back, and be number one. Even though people do not give it respect after this war, I understand. But that doesn't mean the Christians cannot rise up and pretty much show what they are about. showing about, like what I was demonstrating for the Pakistani politicians, that no, it's important to show the Hindu holidays, it's important to show the Christian holidays, because that's what a secular country is. It doesn't matter who won it, whether you're Christian or a Muslim. If you are a secular country, anywhere in the globe, you have to show the spirit of the non-Christian, non-Muslims, anything in the world, you have to show it. That's what a secular country is. If you're not going to show the spirit of other people living there, what's the point? What's the point? You're not going to gain any profit. You're not going to gain any respect for the country. You're not going to gain any value for the country, because the globe looks at everything. If you're going to kick all these features out, nobody's going to give value to your country, which is why every individual in every country matters. Whether you're American Christian, American Muslim, American Hindu, all this stuff matters for America's respect around the globe. That's what I told the Pakistani people too, that you have to show these people and you have to protect these people, because that is a loss. That is a loss for the country. Nobody's going to want to tour. Nobody's going to want to look at it. Nobody would want to visit. That's like money going out the door. When you take a vacation with your family anywhere around the globe, that country gets the money. That's what America's famous about. People want to travel over here, come over here so much that they want to build a future here because of what it looks like. But do you like eating rocks? What do you mean, Charles? That's a funny question. What do you mean by that? The hardest thing I've ever had was a thick cookie that somebody gifted to me. I started having gum sores. But what do you mean by that? Do you like eating rocks? That's the hardest thing I've ever had, a thick cookie. I ate it some before. Yeah, that's the hardest thing I've ever had, was a thick cookie. And I started having gum sores. And I'm just like, ugh. And it wasn't even sweet. It was pretty disgusting if you look at it. But like, I want the Christians to know on my channel, you do not want the same situation for America that these countries are going through. And I'm tired of, even though I'm a Muslim American, but in the end, I want my country to be clean, man. I want it to be an organized country. I wouldn't want it to be a dumpster. I would rather have Pakistani people living in Pakistan if they can just clean their country. And some of the leaders learned. They asked, like, so what should we do? I'm like, first of all, terminate all the extremist groups. There were like 15 and above extremist groups. I'm like, terminate them all. They're chewing the democracy money. They're chewing the military money. What are the citizens getting? Nothing. Nothing. They preach their hate. That needs to go from the country so this country doesn't turn into a chaos. And unexpectedly, there was a new law launched. Recently, I posted a source once I'm done streaming that you're only allowed to give the azan and pray namaz. That's it. You have to go home. If you preach hate, you're going to be arrested like rest of the terrorists in Pakistan. That's a new law. It's this year. Recently launched, that you cannot preach hate in the country. You preach hate in the country, you're going to be arrested. New law from Maryam Nawaz. Read about it. You should. What rules did Maryam Nawaz launch? Same for America. I've never seen America come to this point. I am really sad what I'm seeing because I live here. And I do not want America to go through this storm. I would never, because this is the storm that you don't want. Once it comes, it's impossible to make it leave. I've never seen so many like Democrats and Republican, like different type of Christians argue with each other, protest on streets in all the states. For me, that's a shock. I live here. I grew up here. And for me, it's reminding me the hell that these countries go through outside of America. You do not want the same mess in your country. You just need to make your own changes. What needs to be in the country, what not needs to be in the country, what books need to be minused from your country, what books remain in. Books is what feeds your brain, okay? If I'm reading a book, I can either take it in a positive manner or I can take it in a negative manner. There's billions of books like that. And I'm coming from the person, I lived in Albany, New York. I went to Islamic school and we never had these problems. In fact, the recent thing I did, the recent stream, you remember I told you about the TLP? These guys came in the 2015 and they made their own ideologies into the country in Pakistan. and they made sure everybody bowed to it. That's what America needs to study, whether it's the President Donald Trump or George Bush, whoever was American president. You guys need to study what's being taught in your country, because this day will not come what this lady did. What this lady did is kind of like affect on, if I was a Christian, I'd be depressed. I'm saying it straight up. If I was a Christian and know that I know a teacher from my 1990s do something like that, I'd be in Great Depression, man, as a Christian. Knowing that, why is this happening in my house? It's ruining my religion. It's ruining my purpose. I would go into anxiety if I was a Christian. You know, there's been like 10 days. 10 days, and I have not heard from my best friend who I talk to every single day who's a Christian. I ask her, how are you? You want to talk? I already know what's going on as a Muslim. It's like she can't face me. She doesn't know what to tell me. My oldest friend, who's also black, a retired lady, she calls me every day. And she has not called me in a week because of what's around in America. Why are people protesting with each other than Islam? You have Christians going on streets, screaming, protesting, like against the Republicans. And I was telling her that why do I feel like it's going to happen? Because remember when I explained to you guys that this fight is not just an ordinary fight. It's a fight against the West nations, and most of the West nations came way later in history. The first Christians on earth were the Russian Christians, the Orthodox Christians. Russia's older than America, look it up. And now, I'm not sure if anybody's seen the attack. I'm still studying this attack that somebody tried to attack America. It states it was Russia, Iran, and Cuba, and it's unclassified. Nobody can classify the attack, what happened to America, who let the underground submarine. Not a lot of people know that shit. I was looking it up. It's recent, where the military gave an announcement that I need citizens and the government to be safe at this time. We don't know who's trying to target us. We don't know who's trying to do what to us. It's unclassified information towards America's sources. 2 submarines were destroyed by the American military. It's still on study, right? That should give you a hint. And in that studies, Valencia was also linked, because Valencia wants to attack American back. Russia, Valencia, these are Christian countries. Nigeria does not give a damn, even though we know Nigeria is going through hell by Boko Haram, an Islamist terrorist organization. But Nigeria's like, they don't trust the Americans, which is sad. They're one of you. You guys are Christians, right? That's the same problem we face with the Muslims. Not every Muslim agrees with each other. It doesn't matter, you're an Arab, from Saudi, Qatar, whatever, the nations, they do not agree with each other. They hate each other. Some of them get along, some of them don't get along. They don't care. They don't care. Syrians, when they say this silly shit, oh, it's a ummah, guess, congratulations, Syrians work with India. And they also work with Iran. Now you say for a minute, who doesn't like Syria? It doesn't have great connection to Pakistani Muslim. It may have it with Turkey when Turkey kicks his ass every day. It's okay with Turkey. That's how messed up world this is. And I'm telling you, if I was a biological Christian, today I would be really depressed. Seeing what's happening in America, why are teachers suddenly dancing on streets and celebrating Charlie Kirk's death and saying no king? If you want your nation to look good, this is something I've been telling my friend forever. I can't do it. Jews can't do it. This is something Christians can only do. Christians can only say how their religion should be faced. Christians can only speak how should they be presented. Christians can only represent their country, what should be in their country, what negative stuff needs to be terminated under their religion, just like how we fight under our religion that this shit needs to go. And I said it. There was like 20 extremist organizations that I said to the government of Pakistan, it's time to terminate them. They're chewing the money, they need to go. And Maryam Namaz made that announcement. But in this fight, whether I'm a Jew or a Muslim, I can't help Christians here, because Christians need to speak for themselves. What's going on in America? What do they support? What do they not support? What do they support in their religion? What do they support? What's educated in their religion? This is a Christian fight, a West Christian fight. And if West Christians do not agree with each other's method, what is the third person going to do? We can only listen. Whatever you recommend under your Christian name. And I said it. If I was a biological Christian, if I see this lady dance on streets and saying that, thank God Charlie Kirk's dead, I have anxiety. I have anxiety that what's being taught in Christianity, why is this negativity allowed? Why is this hatred allowed? I would want some type of way this hatred terminated from my church. Because it's spread. Once the hatred spreads, it's impossible to tell some of your own, hey, this is not what we are about. And it's your thoughts against their thoughts, being a Christian. When they tell you that, hey, no, we don't want this as Christians. We don't want to be celebrated. But then, of course, some go by the country, and it's like a chaos. When this fight comes on streets and it's going to get louder and louder, didn't you see what the Italian president said? She's a West Christian. She runs Italy. She said, I'm a Christian. You can't take that away from me. And I support President Trump. Well, these all nations are protesting against each other for being West and what's run, what's not run. This is something only Christians can take a stand. All we can do is watch. Christians must raise their voices, what they allow in their religion, what they don't allow in their religion, what they support under their name, what they don't. But you would have to show what I'm trying to educate my country is that, yes, you have to show your neighbors. Just like there's a Pakistani Christians, there's Pakistani Hindus. Let them be there. What people don't understand, this is benefit to us as a nation, how we're presenting our nation. If we are not going to present our nation in a positive manner, who would want to visit us? Nobody. And that's a money loss. If nobody's going to want to take a vacation to our country or do almost anything with our country, that's our loss because we're being stupid over here. We're not showing protection, what protection we have in our country on all the non-Muslims. That's lost on us because nobody would want to visit us anymore. Nobody would want to buy products from us anymore. Nobody would want to do almost anything with our country. That's a whole loss if we don't show that side. Same here. I know there's many non-Christians who live in America, but if you're not going to show that positive side, that's a bad reputation for America. It's bad reputation for any country. Any. The countries that don't have like secular mixed citizens, those would be who do not have a democracy. Like the Arab countries, they don't run under a democracy. It's only the laws of religion, which means it's rare to see some Arab Christians go over there. They can go on vacation. I'm not sure for citizenship. But same for Russia. Russia was an Orthodox Christian country. Later it became secular. Look at Iran. These are the places are different from secularism. Secularism means you have mixed people, mixed like American Jews, American Hindus, American Muslims, American Christians, right? And if you're not going to show your country spirit with all the mixed holidays, it shows a bad reputation about your country to the globe. And you don't want that. I'm still trying to educate Pakistani people that hey, these radical preachers, they need to leave, and we need to start educating people that Pakistan is for every citizen. Everybody who's a Pakistani, whether you're a Pakistani Hindu, Pakistani Christian, Pakistani Muslim, Pakistani Jew, no, we are one. So people will start trusting our country. People will want to show a better impact of our country, and people will want to do some stuff with our country, which is profit. That's how countries work. If your country is not presented in a positive manner, who would want to do profit? I mean, money doesn't exactly come from trees or magic wand. Give and take, give and take, give and take. Exchange businesses, do businesses. That's how the country makes profit. And that's more beneficial to the people when you do work or almost anything. And the country has a lot of profit. That's good when you do a lot of your hours because country has backup money to pay you. But if country is going to use the backup money in something else, that's going to make it difficult on you once you work. Because it's going to be like, okay, I'm working for hours. Why is my check so low? Is the country not making enough money? What is going on to the economy? The rent is too high. That's not going to work. The hours are getting cut. That's called an economical crash. And right now, seeing teachers, you're supposed to teach students, teachers just not coming into their senses and protesting on streets. This is America. You're supposed to be like the role model of all nations, how I see it. Role model of all nations. And seeing this lady in Chicago, I must say I'll post her video too once I'm done streaming. And you guys can give your own opinion once you see that video. The link from X when I seen her, she's like dancing, sticking out her tongue, feel proud like no king, nothing, no fear from the government that, hey, I work for the government, I can lose my job, which she did. She's an American teacher. This you do not want as Americans. Because then it's going to have a bad impression on all of us as Americans where nobody's going to take us seriously anymore. And we do not want that. We do not want that. You never want that. Ever. Ever in existence, you don't want that. We have to build ourselves back up together. And if this thing grows, I promise you, you do not want it to grow, because then people are going to not take your almost anything about you seriously. That, hey, oh, look, the Americans are protesting on streets. Who cares? Their country's messed up now. It's kind of like you are giving them the win, because there are nations who want America to fall. And you do not want to give them that win. You need to make your own win and get back up and show what life was about in America. But if we're going to let this stuff grow, it's our loss. It is our loss. We're not going to gain anything. We're not going to gain nothing. If people feel we are, no, we're not. In the end, I've said this to my friends, there are certain roles that I can't do as a Muslim. I can do it in the Muslim world. Jews can't do it. They can do it in the Jewish world. But this, Christians need to take a stand. What should be presented under their name? What shouldn't? What changes do they believe in? What changes do they not believe in as Americans? Because historical books, right now, as of anyway, it's American Christians fight against the Russian Orthodox who wants to compete with America's power. And you guys need to rise up, show what do you believe in? What do you believe in your mind that how should America be presented? And that's what the Democrats and Republicans are pulling each other's head off, protesting on streets. Come on, man. When did America protest on streets? Republicans against the Democrats go on strike and protesting on streets? When I name 1 year, I live here too, I'm born here. I've never seen that in my life. I'll be honest. I'm from Albany, New York, moved to Texas at age 18, and I've freaking never seen that. Never. I've never seen Democrats come on streets giving their screams on the mic just to have their seat back against and accusing Trump that, oh, you're no damn king. We're going to fight for the rest of our lives and get our power back. What is this? And you guys are, it's not even Hindus. It's mostly all mixed, different type of Christians saying different views for America. I say this again. You guys need to rise up and show what do you believe in. Otherwise, us as Americans, we're going to go into a catastrophe mode. And we do not want that. It's nobody to blame. We just need to rise together. If you show us what your vision is like, maybe we can slow these protests down. And one thing I can say, if it doesn't, we're going to welcome a hellhole in 2026. A hellhole. Haven't you noticed? So many people are going against, like, Israel, the Palestinian conflict, and then, of course, APEC and all these agencies, right? And then, of course, the Democrats have their views, the Republicans have their views, and it's just turned into a jungle now. It's what, October? And we are sitting here looking at a jungle that's growing and growing and growing in all of the states. All of the states, not one state, all states. People are coming on streets. People are screaming, making funny videos of Trump, insulting him and punching like little dummies, punching him at the face. This is America, guys. You do not want that road under your name where you're going to be presented wrong. You do not want that. I promise you that. You do not want that. Because that's when the Americans, all of us, it doesn't matter if you're American Muslim, American Jew, or mostly American Christian, that's where we're going to lose our power of trust. That's when people are going to make fun of us. That's when people are not going to trust us. That's when people are going to give the laughing eyes. We do not want that under our name. And yesterday in Chicago, that proved it. What was she doing? You're a teacher. You're a teacher. You're supposed to educate children in the worst of the worst to hold on to your faith. Anything, we will get through that. That's what you inspire children to do. That, hey, no matter what's the case, you just focus on your homework. Don't worry on the violence. We will get through this. Give it some time. Instead, we are going on streets, laughing at Charlie Kirk's death, preaching, no king, without even to understand anything. Okay, that's not going to solve the problem. If anybody could tell me as a Christian on my page, what would yelling at Trump do? Protesting anyway. We have 4 years. He's here till 4 years. He's literally here till 4 years. What will that do? Would any other candidate take his place before 4 years? And it's last year. He cannot be president again. So instead of striking protests on streets, hate, almost anything, what will that solve? Anything? Anybody who's on my page who disagree with what I said, what would yelling at him do? That's what I want to know. He's here for 4 years. Nobody can actually remove him before 4 years. What will this do? You're just giving your country a bad name. And you don't want to do that. Why are the Gulf states always so sabotaged, right? Like places like Syria and stuff like that, because of how they present the country. Why would you want to take America in that direction? Why? Why would you want to take, as Americans, showing yourself you're protesting on streets, screaming, saying stuff about your faith, disagreements, but then again, just like how I said, this is not something I can answer, or a Jewish person or a Hindu. Only a Christian can. Christian can. And like I said, my best friend who I speak to every single day, she's just going through a crisis with herself, thinking what she wants changed, what she doesn't want changed, what to pray for, what not to pray for. And I tell you one thing, I told this to my friend, as of now, as much as people are like debating about religion, let me tell you something. As of today, everybody's religion has crashed, okay? Islam has crashed. Christianity has crashed. Judaism also, because I've seen Jews who curse at other Jews just because they worship Israel. This is a religion crash. Now you can teach it the political way or the spiritual way for children to have faith in their houses. When somebody dies in your house, you hold to a prayer book and pray that they survive cancer or almost anything. That's what parents teach it. That's what my parents taught me, that, hey, somebody's sick in the house, go sit down and start praying for them. Instead, in this generation, we are looking at religion used into political life, something I'm having a debate on to educate the Pakistani politicians that, hey, minus extremist idiots from your government, they need to go home. They need to go home, and they listen to me. They need to go home. They should not be in the government and trying to terminate the democracy. Extremism of any religion should not be in the government. That needs to move. That causes problems. Many problems. And that's one thing I'm going to tell to the Christians. It doesn't matter if it's your religion, Judaism, you do not want it in the government. You're going to go through major problems, disagreements, fights, everything. And it creates a chaos. And what those people do, whether it's your religion or my religion, whoever, there's always going to be religion chewing the money, then country itself. That's why you don't want it. And that's the problem that Pakistan learned the hard way. That it's right that these extremist organizations chewing the money, the military is not getting anything, the democracy politician members are not getting anything. The citizens have been screaming for years and years and years that we need money, we need money. And who's making all the money? The extremist organizations in the country. That's when you know the shit needs to leave. So we can save some money, the politician can fix what they need to fix, and the military can do what it needs to do. And that's my point here. Right now, America's going through a crisis that It needs to work with the military to make sure American safety comes first, what's about to happen, especially after the unclassified attack. Military has a responsibility now to guard places of America to make sure America's not under an attack from other nations. That's one responsibility. Next responsibility, the government work of the teachers and all these government jobs, make sure they're doing responsibility to keep the people clean by not giving them false information. That also goes for school. What that teacher did in Chicago was unacceptable as an American. That gave the American people name a bad name. Your teacher is supposed to be teaching a good influence of education. Showing that, you just showed an influence of people would not want to come to school. People would not believe in teachers anymore. People would not believe in going to school anymore. There's so much for school careers. Right or wrong? If you're not going to show a good influence of a teacher, who would want to come to school? If you as a parent, you have kids, would you tell your kids to go to school seeing a teacher like that on streets? What it said for Charlie Kirk? Like, oh, no king, screw Charlie Kirk. No! Your kids would be even afraid to enter school to meet a teacher if teachers did that, what she did in Chicago. That's not American influence, that's a mental influence. Complete mental influence. We want the American people to make at least the schools a better influence for children, where children can believe in education again, where children can believe in socialism again, where children can believe in friendship again. If schools are terminated and parents stop sending their kids to school due to that influence, believe me, America's going to go through a change where socialism is not going to exist anymore, and people are just going to socialize with their parents, their families. That's it. No more communication of public social circles, how people go to restaurants or how friends hang out, how people hang out, publicity. If this influence grows, the only publics you're going to circle see is families. That's it. No new friends, no new groups of friendship, all that stuff. And that's where, hypocrisy or racism might grow there, which you do not want. No. Americans need to rise up and really need to put an end to this, because trust me, if my friend who is a Christian on here, you are not going to like what you're about to see if this shit grows. You're going to go through the same weirdo psychomatic wave that the Muslims went through, dealing with themselves, what they hate, what they don't hate, under their name. You're going to go through the same problem. And these are waves that nobody can help you. That's why I would say in the Bible, when they said about the spiritual war, this is one of them, a spiritual war. When nations go out of control, your own home goes out of control, and you don't know what to believe in. You don't know what that's called, a spiritual war. Your soul versus what to ask for in front of God. That's a spiritual war. And that's exactly what I feel like my friends are going through, which is why they haven't spoke to me when we talk every day. She doesn't know what to talk about. She doesn't know as a Christian what should change, would not change in her home. I don't know what to tell her. And all she could tell me is that, okay, I want you to support this and see if you can stop. I did, and I did my part. Stop any radical that I possibly can. It's my duty as an American. I'm not going to condemn in violence under my name. I'll fight for it, and I'll kick everybody out who's a Muslim who condemns in my house as an American any radical preaching. It needs to leave. And I said that to many Muslims. You need to go home. You believe in extremism, you're back at home. And I said that to someone in a space. He got really mad at me. He cursed me out. He's like, take this woman out of this space. Take her out. Who is she? And I'm like, if you don't like how America works and you support all this violence and you do not look at your own mistake as a Muslim, what are you doing here in America? Go home. When I'm a Muslim and I'm an American Muslim, I told him that you need to go home. If you're not going to understand what other people, how they helped you, what they done for you, and how every nation works in what situation, and if you're not going to accept that, you need to go home. Period. I don't like that type of bullshit. And people are just like staring at me. I'm like, you're a Muslim. I'm like, I know, but I don't want false information. I'm not going to carry that bullshit. Get out of here. And he just like cursed me out. I don't care. I don't care. This is how things should be. There's good times, bad times, but we need to work on everything how to fix, not live in a shithole, cry about things. And that's exactly what I've told him, that if you don't like how shit works here, when you're living here, but you're crying about everything else while being an American Muslim, then go home, man. I'm not going to listen to you cry about America being a Muslim and then knowing what Muslims are dealing with, thanks to your own stupid mess, crying then to understand how America helped you. And that's some of the people know. It's all about education. You have to rub it in their faces sometimes that, hey, this is how this country helped us. This is your responsibility. And if you're not going to understand this responsibility, you should not be talking. All right? The Gulf countries, you think the Gulf countries were just made like magic? Of course, the reason why America has a link with Gulf countries is because it helped it out. Pakistan's one of them. Saudi Arabia didn't get just rich because it wants to be rich. America helped it. Duh! Face the consequences or shut up. Simple policy. And if you can't do that, don't come here crying. That's how I see things. I love you too, Sarah. I grew up here. I loved my time in growing up as a kid, 1990s. I had the greatest friends of my life. And I would never trade them for this bullshit. Their moms today, they're beautiful moms. They gave birth to very beautiful children who I love seeing and watching. One of my best friends used to be my neighbor in Albany, New York. So I used to sneak in her house and get in trouble from my mom. Like, where are you? And then her mom tells that I was at her house, and boy, did both of us get in trouble when we were like, 9 years old. She's my best friend still today. Her name is Becky. And we love each other even so much after today. We spent so many memories. I spent the best time of my life growing up. It's with Christians in Albany, New York. I know society's not the same, but the time period I grew up, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And people who say this bullshit to me, it makes me mad. Like, hey man, if you want to talk big, make sure you accept facts first. I am not going to tolerate any bullshit for the American people because I'm one too. I may help you as, like I'm helping the Pakistani politicians, that this is what you need to terminate, but I'm not going to tolerate any bullshit under being an American. I know what my country did for people. Friends are everything. Yes, just how I said it. When I hate it when people talk about America, that, oh, it's America's fault, yada, yada, yada. I tell them one answer. If it's America's fault, then why don't you take your responsibility by yourself and understand how the nation was made and who participated by giving you power? And people never have that answer. They don't. No nation is perfect, but it is our responsibility to keep our nations clean, atmosphere clean, education clean, keep the hypocrisy away from our house, never let the hatred grow in our home, because that can be dangerous for our children. Any children who goes to school, you never want hatred to be influenced at your child. Whether it's a Muslim child, Jewish child, Christian child, Hindu child, do not encourage hatred in your home, because that is the protection of your own children. If your child ever goes in a hatred atmosphere of fighting, unconditional hate due to faith or religion, your child would not want to leave the house. Your child would never want to leave the house. And you as a parent, you're going to be very scared. You're going to be very scared what to tell your child. Like, make it believe in friendship again. Make it believe in society again. It's going to have trauma to ever step out of the house. You don't want to make America like that. There's kids who have hopes here. There's kids who look at America in a positive manner. There's kids who look up to America. It's the strongest positive nation on the planet who did stuff for other nations. If we are going to kill this in our house based on wrong teachings, negative teachings, and those weirdo psychomatic radicals who come from other different radicalizations, we need to take a stand. Same for Christians. If you're not going to speak what you believe under your religion, what should be said, what should not be said, you're going to go through the same crisis as a Muslim that we're dealing with today. That, hey, we want to present it in a positive manner. Did you know that I yelled at a guy in Pakistan that take your extremism shit out of the country? This was never allowed. And a lot of the extremist leaders, they got fired, terminated, and I'm sure you've seen a news article in Pakistan that the military burned them alive. The militaries burned the Pakistani extremist organizations. They burnt them. They shot them. Military did. That this is no more. It's not going to continue in the country. Take your military extremist shit, extremism teachings out of the country. They locked up the mosques. They locked up their homes, everything, and they were shot on streets. All those extremist organizations by the Pakistan military. That it's not going to be allowed here anymore. And now that the citizens realize that we always had freedom, when they're Pakistani, they're not obeying to it. You need to terminate anything negative in your country. Anything negative as possible. If it's a book, if it's a faith book, make rules that, hey, whatever this radical education is, it needs to be in your house, and delete anything negative. And that's what my mother-in-law taught me. My mother-in-law taught me that America needs to go through changes. It needs to get rid of these mullah teachers in mosque. Mosque should only be for praying. That's it. Go pray, come back, that's it. That's all it should for. And that's what Pakistan's doing right now. That every Friday, you just go for praying, go home. That's it. You did your prayer, return home. That's all it should be taught here. Ramadans, America has always given Muslims Ramadan for facilitation that, hey, celebrate Ramadan. Anything else? Throw it out. No specific teaching, preaching, and making everybody live under extremization. No. They're going to chew the money. Same for all these people, whether it's a Democrat or extremist. I'm not sure for extremist Christians here. You guys need to take a stand for yourself. What do you believe in? What should be under your religion? What should be not under your religion? What should churches be teaching? What should churches not be teaching? That is up to a Christian completely. That what should the Christian churches teach? Because I know my friends, they told me that some of the churches, parents are afraid to send their own kids to church. I'm like, why though? Why is that is so wrong to go to church? And she told me because some of the churches are not teaching a positive impact. I'm like, sister, you do not want the same societies Muslims are dealing with. She's like, is that even possible? And she told me, yes, it is. Churches are not teaching a positive impact on Christianity. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you there. Like I said, this is only Christians can take a stand. Sometimes you mix like politician liberalism into religion. Religion should be separate in your house. That's for you only, your family, your values, your traditions as Christians. Your democracy should only focus on the country as a living style, families, how to keep the citizens safe, how to good impact on schools, good impact on jobs, good impact in society. That's what the government is for. Religion should be in-house only. When you go to the public world, it's for jobs, it's for social, it's for atmosphere, it's to help your child grow up by going outside. If all of this stuff is terminated in America, parents are going to have a really difficult time raising their children. To ever inspire kids to go outside. What happened to the good old days where you used to ride your bike? What happened to the good old days where you would go on streets and play sports? What happened to the good old days where you would take your children and go on a bike race? Like, hey, we're going to have a bike race now. Haven't you discovered the changes that not that many people ride their bikes anymore? It's mainly all what to do with technology. All this stuff, not the olden day 1990 stuff where you ride your house. Yes, Bruce. Yes, keep it that way. That's one thing Pakistan is learning now, that it should have never, ever bought the extremist ideology. That's what Shehbaz Sharif and Maryam Nawaz said. It should have never, ever bought the extremism ideology into this government, which they terminated and murdered the extremist organizations. There's an article, I'll publish that, what the Pakistani people did, the military. It killed people alive, all the extremist organizations, murdered them. That is up. We don't want, never welcome that. Your children are going to be terrified if you have children who make friends with non-Christians. It's going to be difficult for them with this atmosphere for what's around, and that's going to make you stuck as a parent what to tell your child. Okay, that's your child's friend, Jew or a Muslim, whatever. It's going to be hard because of the atmosphere. Look at all this hated atmosphere. What are you going to tell your kid? That's the friend it found. That's the only friend that accepted him. What are you going to tell him? Everything that's going on in America is dangerous. We need to change it. We need to come together, all of us, and decide what needs to be kicked out before America turns into one of the Gulf states. And you do not want that. You're letting your villains win. The anti-West states who hate the West culture, you're going to let them win. Because that's exactly what they're picturing and want. For the American people to drown in the water. But no, we have to terminate a lot of things. School needs to feel like school again. Church needs to feel like church again. Everything needs to feel like the 1990s again. Jobs need to feel like work again. How are people supposed to make money without having a conflict? I mean, there's customers, there's white and black Mexican customers, all customers. With this hate, it's going to be hard to even survive at work. Unless if it's the people you've known for decades. If you go to a new job based on all this hate, it's not going to be easy to work. And that's going to cause a problem. School's being affected already. I met a lady, right? And she told me, when she's just a lady who does her job and sits at the medical desk, and she's telling me that someone just gave her the F finger like that because she was a Mexican. And I'm like, but you just sit at your desk all day and you help patients in a hospital. On the desk, you check them in. Why would somebody give that to you? And she's like, I don't know, because I'm Mexican. And she already told me when, my kid's like 7, that you better protect your child. It's going to get dangerous as she grows up. I felt nervous. And I can imagine all those other parents in here in America, they're going to feel the same way. You do not want any of the shit for America to go through this phase. It's going to be hard for kids to ever believe in friendship. Parents are going to be stuck doing full-time parenting work at home. No break. Because kids would not want to leave the house. Kids will not believe in socialism. Kids will not believe in attracting. Kids will not want to go to school. Nothing. If your kid's not going to leave the house, what are you going to tell it? These are really dangerous things. And the attack in Chicago is the biggest influence. If your kid asks you, but you're a teacher. That's right, it's a teacher. Why on earth would a teacher influence millions of children watching her to go on street and like death? No kings and laugh at Charlie Kirk's death. Okay, maybe there are people who did not agreed with him, and there are some who did disagree with him. That's human nature. It's children that are praying for this life. Life is so, yes, you got it, Sarah, yes. This is not the 1990s culture that I grew up in. It's a complete separate culture. I'm 38 years old, and this is what I tell my friends, that you need to really think about how you're going to raise your kids. It's awful. It's awful. And I feel bad for some of my Christians friends. Some of them started crying to me that what am I supposed to tell my child? It likes hanging around with Mexicans and black people of all this hate. What am I supposed to tell my kid? I'm like, that's up to you. She started crying. She's like, this hate is getting ridiculous. What is my child going to do? It has no friends. Those are his only friends. If this hate and this hypocrisy in America towards each other grow, how are kids supposed to make friends? How are families supposed to do communication with each other if they need something? Due to all this hypocrisy in America with each other, it doesn't matter who, it's just overboard. Way overboard. And I'm telling you, if we don't take a stand, America is going to take a punch like it never did in its entire history. Those protests on streets, protests in states is a warning, a serious warning. I don't have children. I didn't realize that this was happening, but of course it is sad. Yes, I'm going to post some sources after I'm done with my stream so you guys can read about it. It's dangerous. It's going to make really hard for parents to ever make its child believe in friendship, socialize, or even to just leave the house. Even to just leave the house. And kids need that. You need that. You need your kid to leave the house, to believe in a future. If your kid's not going to leave the house to ever meet people, You can't keep your child for the rest of your life being a parent. It will never know how to protect itself. It will be relying on you to protect all your life. I mean, giving child a gun is not protection. You need to mentally make it prepared and make it understand that, hey, there's good and bad in the world. Just make yourself ready and you know how to handle it. If you're not going to tell good and bad in the world, your child's not going to know, because it kind of just threw it away what it saw, that, hey, I don't want to be part of the world anymore. I'm going to stay with my mommy and daddy for the rest of my life. I don't want to step out of that house. And that's happening. It's happening. It's sad. It's really disgusting. And it's bad for every single parent who's an American right now. Whether you're American Hindu, American Israeli, American Muslim, American Christian, who grew up here all your life with your oldest of oldest adults. It's a really bad atmosphere. Bad. Teachers are supposed to be the teachers to help your child believe in hope, education, where kids love going to school. And here you have teachers dancing and worshiping negativity. Like I said, if I was a biological Christian, I knew I grew up in the 1990s, had the best time with my teacher, I probably would have anxiety. That's what teachers started doing. It broke my heart too, because my teachers were wonderful. I remember I'm still today in touch with some of my teachers and show them history today, and they say it. My friends say it. Some of my friends' kids go to the schools that we went to. And I ask them, how is it for them? And they tell me that it's bad. Some kids are afraid in Albany, New York. I'm from Averill Park and went to Colony Central High School later in the middle. I shifted after 6th grade. And when I asked all my friends, mixed friends, like, hey, how do you like your kids going to school? They say it, that it's a lot worse than what it used to be. There's too much bullying around. Teachers don't really give importance to children. There's not enough child protection in school because of the hypocrisy. So the parents, they're worried. Imagine going to middle school in this atmosphere. Elementary school, you might survive. What about middle school? Middle school is when you really learn about children, how they see you, how they view you. And this atmosphere, if it grows, it's going to be really hard for parents to ever raise their children as Americans. Screw moving out, just raising your own kids as Americans, if we don't believe in a positive impact in the country based on what's happening. Too much unwanted stuff that really does not have to do with people. It's about the nations who believe in, hate. I named one, Russia. Russia doesn't believe in the West culture. Russia's a country who worships hate. It doesn't believe in the West tradition or nation. So if you're a Russian Christian versus an American Christian, that Russian Christian's not going to take you seriously. It's all the nations. It's all the nations who hate anti-West culture. All the nations. And they're one gang. And if we don't, Americans, show our country as a positive impact, we are making it hell for ourselves and our kids tomorrow. And I would never want American Christians to ever go through that phase, feel confused raising their children. Coming from a Muslim who we deal with, which we're trying to educate the nations that are ready for a change. Some UAE made a change. Saudi's ready to change by 2030. And Pakistan started. But some nations, they're going to live in hate for the rest of their life. And that's abuse on the people. That's nobody else, just the people. Yes, this is good versus evil. And you must not fall for the evil, because evil is an impact. It's not a faith, it's an impact. And that's what your Bible says. This is a spiritual war. It's a spiritual war against negativity of around the world. And people want our downfall, but we shouldn't. If we believe in hope, faith, stick together, and show a positive impact, we can beat them. And for that, we all need to work together. All of us. Because if we don't, we are putting our own children in danger. Nobody else. Like I said, by 2026, if these protests grow, parents are going to be so terrified to how to raise their children as Americans. And you can't raise 6, 7, 8 children in one house without having to set one child free out of the house. It's mission impossible. It's like putting everybody into one box in an apartment, 8, 7 kids and 2 parents, and no place for those kids to breathe because they don't want to breathe. They're too afraid to breathe outside. And parents pulling their hair that, hey, I'm a parent, what to do? My kids don't want to leave the house. How am I supposed to get a moment to myself? Blah, blah, blah. You don't want that. And that's not going to make your child strong, and more anxiety for parents just being parents. Any other questions regarding the teacher, what I shared? I'm going to post a video once I'm done streaming. Do you guys have any specific questions? Like I said, it's a very sad atmosphere, and that lady should not have any circumstances dance that street knowing she's a teacher. Gotta go to work. You changed my day, my dear friend. I'll be watching and always loving your fierce, strong. Oh, thank you, Sarah. Feel free to join my Discord community. I have meetings, everything. I have mixed people in here. I would love to keep in touch with you as an American. You're welcome to join me in my community in Discord. And yeah, have a fun day at work, and just do what you do and have faith for America. And I'm working both ways, trying to help the American people along with bringing change to Pakistan. So that way a positive impact comes. And the more positive comes, makes another nation look safe to ever look at it in a better view. Same goes for America. Same goal. And I inspire all my Christian friends on here that we can't do this without you. We can only agree to what you agree with, what you feel you want from us. But in the end, your voices matter, how to represent the country before these protests get louder versus your people, and we wouldn't know how to support you, because in the end, every Christian voice matters. That's on you guys, how you feel what needs to be done from your half. Take care, enjoy your day from work, and I'm going to get ready to close the stream. Anybody else who has any specific questions for me? I do 2 streams every week, so videos, I don't know what to post for videos, I'll be honest. I don't post really videos because I don't know what to talk about. But stream I do twice a week. So anybody have any questions? Any questions before I close the channel? If so, I hope you enjoy your day. Till next week, I'll have more updates next week. And I'm going to posting some sources in the description box. You would love to see that lady. I would love to see comments once I post that mini video from X. I would love to see my fans' comments. How did they feel about this lady dancing? As an American teacher, it was, in my opinion, like I said, I would have anxiety. Take care, guys, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Be safe out there, and don't lose hope as Americans. Bye-bye.